The coffee cup fell in slow motion. Brown liquid arced through the airdrops, catching the fluorescent light like amber beads. It hit the marble floor with a crack that echoed through the conference room. The sound cut through heated voices, through clenched fists, through 2 months of building tension that neither of them had wanted to name. 20 employees froze outside the glass walls. Phones paused mid-text. Conversations died mid-sentence. Someone's bagel hung suspended halfway to their mouth. Inside the conference room, Claire Ashford gripped Nathan Reed's collar with both hands. Her perfectly tailored blazer had wrinkled where she'd twisted toward him. Her razor-sharp bob had come loose on one side, and her carefully applied lipstick was about to be completely ruined. She kissed him. Not softly, not romantically, desperately, furiously, like she was trying to silence something in herself as much as she was trying to silence him. Nathan stood perfectly still. His presentation deck slipped from his handpapers, scattering across the coffee-stained floor. His mind went blank except for the sudden, overwhelming awareness of her. The faint scent of her perfume. The slight tremor in her hands. The softness of her lips against his. Outside, someone gasped. Another person pulled out their phone. Maya Claire's assistant dropped her entire stack of folders. The kiss lasted maybe 5 seconds, maybe an eternity. Time did strange things when the world stopped making sense. Claire broke away first. She stepped back, eyes wide, with something that looked like horror, or maybe revelation. Her hand went to her mouth, touching where they'd just connected. Her lipstick was smeared at the corner, a tiny imperfection in her otherwise flawless armor. That was... She started, her voice shaking in a way no one at Maverick Digital had ever heard before. "Yeah," Nathan said. His voice came out rough, barely above a whisper. They stared at each other across 3 feet of space that felt like a canyon. The coffee continued spreading across the white marble, a dark stain reaching toward the door. Claire grabbed her purse from the conference table. Her hands were steady now, back under control. She walked past him without another word, her heels clicking against the floor with mechanical precision. The door opened, closed. The sound of her departure hung in the air like smoke. Nathan stood alone in the glass box. 20 pairs of eyes watched him from the other side of the transparent walls. He touched his mouth, still feeling the pressure of her lips against his. His fingers came away with a faint trace of her lipstick. The coffee stain had stopped spreading. It pooled near his feet, steam dying in the cold office air. Someone in the hallway coughed. The spell broke. Conversations resumed in urgent whispers. Phones buzzed with rapid-fire texts. Maya bent down to gather her scattered folders, her face bright red. Nathan picked up his presentation deck with numb fingers. Slide 14. The one they'd been arguing about stared up at him. All those revisions, all those late nights, all that tension building for weeks. And now this. He looked through the glass walls at the office beyond. Everyone was pretending not to stare while absolutely staring. Jules, from Creative, gave him a wide-eyed look that clearly said, "What just happened?" Robert, from Accounts, actually had his mouth hanging open. Nathan's phone buzzed in his pocket. A text from an unknown number. He pulled it out. "Lincoln Elementary. This is the nurse's office. Your daughter Harper has a fever. Can you come pick her up?" He stared at the message. Then at the conference room. Then at the coffee spreading across expensive marble. 3 months earlier, none of this would have been possible. 3 months earlier, Nathan Reed had been desperate for this job. Claire Ashford had been the Ice Queen CEO with standards so impossible that 4 directors had quit before him. 3 months earlier, they'd been strangers about to collide. If you're enjoying this story of unexpected passion and complicated hearts, please like this video and subscribe for the next chapter. Drop a comment below, telling us what you think will happen next. Will Nathan and Claire be able to work together after this? We'd love to hear your predictions. 3 months earlier. Nathan Reed's alarm went off at 5:47 a.m. Not 5:45. Not 6 hours. Exactly 5:47, because that gave him 13 minutes to shower, 12 minutes to make breakfast, 8 minutes to wake Harper, and precisely 20 minutes of buffer time for whatever chaos the universe decided to throw at him. This morning, the chaos came in the form of a missing left shoe. "Dad," Harper's voice carried from her bedroom, high-pitched with that particular 9-year-old panic that could mean anything from actual emergency to mild inconvenience. "I can't find my shoe." Nathan stood at the kitchen counter, tie half-knotted coffee growing cold in his favorite mug, the one that said, "World's Okayest Dad." Harper had bought it for him last Father's Day with money she'd earned helping Mrs. Chen water her plants. She'd crossed out Okayest with a Sharpie and written Best above it. He'd cried in the Target parking lot for 10 minutes. "Did you check under your bed?" he called back, spreading peanut butter on bread with the mechanical efficiency of someone who'd made this exact sandwich 500 times. "Yes." "Did you actually look, or did you just look at the floor and decide it wasn't there?" Silence. Then small footsteps padding across hardwood. A pause. More footsteps. "Found it," Harper said, appearing in the kitchen doorway. She held up the shoe triumphantly. Her hair, stuck up on one side, still tangled from sleep. She wore mismatched socks, one with dinosaurs and one with unicorns, because she declared last month that matching socks were conformist propaganda, after watching a documentary about advertising. Nathan bit back a smile. "What would you do without me?" "Probably wear slippers to school," Harper said seriously. She climbed onto the kitchen stool, the tall one she'd insisted she was big enough for, even though her feet still dangled 6 inches from the footrest. "Your tie's crooked." He looked down. She was right. The tie hung at a 15-degree angle, the knot loose and sloppy. When had he stopped being able to dress himself properly? Harper slid off the stool and walked over. She was barely tall enough to reach his collar, standing on her tiptoes, with that focused expression she got when concentrating. Her small fingers worked the silk with surprising dexterity. This was the third time this week she'd fixed his tie. The third time this week she'd had to parent her parent. "You're doing the thing again," she said quietly. Nathan's hands stilled on the lunch bag. What thing? The mom left so I have to be perfect thing. Harper pulled the tie snug, smoothing down his collar with careful precision. She didn't look up at him. "You get all frantic and weird, like you're trying to be two people at once." The words hit harder than they should have. She was 9. 9-year-olds shouldn't have to notice these things, shouldn't have to carry this kind of awareness like a weight they'd learn to balance. Nathan crouched down so they were eye level. Harper's eyes, hazel with flecks of gold, met his without flinching. When had she gotten so brave? When had he gotten so transparent? "I'm okay, Bug," he said softly. "You always say that." She tilted her head, studying him the way she studied her math homework when the numbers didn't add up. "But your coffee's getting cold." He glanced back at the counter. Steam had stopped rising from his mug 20 minutes ago. He'd poured it at 5:58 and hadn't taken a single sip. The coffee sat there heat dying while he'd rushed around trying to hold their small world together with spit and determination. "Dad," Harper's voice pulled him back. "I asked if you're okay." Nathan picked up the mug, felt the lukewarm ceramic against his palm, took a sip of coffee that tasted like bitter disappointment, smiled at his daughter like his heart wasn't cracking down the middle. "I'm great, Bug. Mrs. Chen at 7:45. Harper studied him for another moment. Then she nodded, accepting the deflection because what else could she do? She was 9. He was supposed to be the adult. "Pizza money's on the counter," Nathan added, grabbing his briefcase, the forgotten lunch, Harper's backpack with the broken zipper he kept meaning to fix. "I know." Harper handed him his keys, which he'd left on top of the microwave for some reason. "Try not to be late on your first day. Ms. Winters sounds scary." "Where did you hear that name? You talk in your sleep." Harper grinned, gap-toothed and mischievous. "You kept saying, 'Yes, Ms. Winters,' and right away Miss Winters, like you were already scared of her." Nathan felt heat creep up his neck. "I don't talk in my sleep." "You do. Last Tuesday you had a whole conversation about quarterly reports." She paused. "What's a quarterly report?" "Something you'll understand when you're older and more tired." Harper laughed, a sound that still made everything feel manageable somehow. She hugged him quickly, fiercely, the way she'd started doing after Vanessa left, like she was afraid he might disappear if she didn't hold on tight enough. "Love you, Dad. Love you more, Bug." He made it to the door before she called out again. "Dad." He turned back. Harper stood in the kitchen, small and brave and too wise for her age. "Don't let her make you cry," she said simply. "Sophie from daycare says her mom worked for Ms. Winters and cried every day." Nathan's chest tightened. "I promise not to cry." "Good. You look ugly when you cry." "Hey." But she was already laughing, running back to her room to finish getting ready, and Nathan was left standing in the doorway of their small apartment, briefcase in hand, cold coffee in his system, and a knot of anxiety in his stomach that had nothing to do with traffic and everything to do with a woman he hadn't even met yet. A woman who in exactly 42 minutes would change everything. 22 floors above Seattle's Pioneer Square. Claire Ashford stood at her office window and watched the city wake up. From here, she could see everything. The morning commuters flooding out of King Street Station. The baristas opening coffee shops that would be packed within the hour. The homeless man who always set up his cardboard sign on the corner of 2nd and Marion, the one that said, "Anything helps. God bless." She'd given him her Starbucks card 3 months ago with $500 loaded on it. He'd stared at her like she'd handed him the moon. She hadn't told anyone. Charity made people think you were soft. Softness made people think you were weak. Weakness made people think they could take advantage. Claire Ashford had learned these lessons young and learned them well. Her office was exactly as she'd designed it. Floor-to-ceiling windows on 2 walls. Minimalist furniture in shades of white and chrome. A single orchid on her desk, white as bone, that she replaced every Monday, whether it needed it or not. The walls were glass transparent to the office floor beyond because she'd read somewhere that glass walls bred accountability. What the article hadn't mentioned was that glass walls also meant everyone could see you. All the time. Every moment. No privacy. No refuge. Just the constant awareness of eyes watching, judging, waiting for you to crack. She'd installed them anyway. Better to be seen as invulnerable than to hide and confirm their suspicions that you were breakable. Claire's reflection stared back at her from the window. 36 years old. Designer blazer that cost more than most people's monthly rent. Hair cut in a sharp bob that required maintenance every 3 weeks. Makeup applied with precision. Not a hair out of place. Not a wrinkle in her clothes, not a crack in the armor. She looked perfect. She felt hollow. Ms. Winters. Maya's voice came through the intercom, nervous as always. Maya had been her assistant for 8 months. She still sounded terrified every time she spoke. The new creative director is here. Nathan Reed. Claire checked her watch. 9:07 a.m. Tell him I'll see him at 9. A pause. It's 9:07. Then he's late. Traffic on the 5 was backed up from the convention center construction. There was an accident near the exit. Claire turned from the window, fixing Maya with the look that had made grown men reconsider their career choices. I don't pay people to commute, Maya. I pay them to be here. Maya's face flushed red. She nodded quickly and disappeared from the doorway like a rabbit fleeing a wolf. Claire sat down at her desk, the leather chair sighing beneath her weight. She pulled up Nathan Reed's file on her computer, even though she'd already memorized every detail. Bachelor's degree from Boston University. Master's in Marketing from Northwestern. 7 years at McKinley & Ross leading campaigns for Fortune 500 companies. awards, accolades, a portfolio that sparkled with exactly the kind of innovative thinking Maverick Digital needed. And then, nothing. An 18-month gap in his resume with the explanation, freelance consulting. Claire knew what that meant. Everyone knew what that meant. It meant something had fallen apart, a breakdown, a burnout, a personal crisis severe enough to derail an entire career. She should have passed on his application. Hiring someone with that kind of gap was a risk. But there had been something in his cover letter, one sentence buried in the second paragraph. I understand what it means to build something from nothing, and I know what it costs to protect what matters. She'd read that sentence 5 times. Then she'd called him for an interview. Now he was 7 minutes late on his first day, and Claire was reconsidering every decision that had led to this moment. Her phone buzzed. A calendar reminder. Foster Youth Reading Program. 4 p.m. Lincoln Elementary. Claire dismissed the notification, quickly glancing at the glass walls to make sure no one had seen. They hadn't. They never did. She'd gotten very good at hiding pieces of herself in plain sight. Someone knocked on her door frame. Not timid like Maya. Firm. Confident. The knock of someone who wasn't quite sure if they should be nervous yet. Come in, Claire said, without looking up from her computer. Nathan Reed walked into her office, and the first thing she noticed was that he looked tired. Not slovenly, not unprofessional, just tired in that bone-deep way that came from carrying weights no one else could see. The second thing she noticed was that he had kind eyes. Hazel, bright with intelligence but soft at the edges. The kind of eyes that probably saw too much and felt too deeply. The third thing she noticed was the coffee ring on his portfolio case, a faint brown stain that he'd clearly tried and failed to scrub out. Morning, Nathan said, setting his case on the chair. Traffic was biblical, but I brought the preliminary research on the Apex Pharma account. Claire finally looked up. The Apex pitch is Friday. That's 3 days from now. You've been briefed for 2 weeks. By email. Nathan's jaw tightened slightly. I started yesterday. Today is Wednesday. Silence stretched between them. Claire leaned back in her chair, studying him with the intensity she usually reserved for client presentations. He didn't flinch, didn't look away, didn't fidget or apologize or make excuses. Interesting. Your resume says you led campaigns for Procter & Gamble, Microsoft, and Boeing, Claire said slowly. 2 years ago. Nathan interrupted her, his voice steady. Then my wife left, and I spent 18 months freelancing from my kitchen table while my daughter did homework next to me. The words landed like stones in still water. Claire felt something flicker in her chest, a recognition she immediately tried to bury. I don't need your story, she said coolly. I need deliverables. Then let me work instead of explaining why Seattle traffic exists. The corner of Claire's mouth almost twitched. Almost. She caught herself, smoothed her expression back to neutral. Friday, 5 p.m. Don't be late. I'll do my best. Your best needs to be perfect. Nathan picked up his case, turned to leave, then paused at the door. Ms. Winters, yes. The orchid on your desk is dying. The leaves are yellowing at the base. You're overwatering it. He left before she could respond. Claire looked at her orchid, then back at the empty doorway, then at the orchid again. The leaves were in fact yellowing at the base. She touched one petal gently. It came away in her hand white and fragile as paper. The first week was brutal. Nathan arrived at 7:30 every morning and left at 11 hours every night. His desk became a fortress of coffee cups, crumpled paper, and sticky notes covered in half-formed ideas. The Apex Pharma account wasn't just important. It was make or break for Maverick's Q3 numbers. A pharmaceutical company looking to rebrand their depression medication without the stigma. Delicate. Difficult. The kind of project that could define a career or destroy one. Claire reviewed his work every evening at 6 p.m. sharp. She'd appear at his desk without warning red pen already in hand and dissect his proposals with surgical precision. This headline is adequate, she'd say, circling it aggressively. Adequate doesn't win accounts. The imagery here is safe. Safe is forgettable. This call to action lacks urgency. If I don't feel compelled, the client won't either. Nathan took every note without complaint. He'd stay late or work harder, come back the next day with revisions that addressed every single criticism. Claire would find new ones. By Thursday night, Nathan had rewritten the pitch deck 4 times. His eyes burned, his back ached. He'd missed putting Harper to bed 3 nights in a row, arriving home to find her already asleep with a note on his pillow that said, "I love you," in crayon. He'd stood in her doorway watching her breathe, this small person who depended on him completely, and felt like the world's biggest failure. Friday came too fast. The pitch went perfectly. Nathan presented with the kind of confidence that came from having every word memorized, every slide embedded in his brain. The Apex executives nodded, asked questions, nodded some more. "We'll be in touch," the CEO said, shaking hands. Back at the office, Nathan collapsed at his desk. His phone buzzed. A text from Mrs. Chen. "Harper wants to know if you're coming to her soccer game Saturday. She says she understands if you can't." His heart cracked a little more. Good work today. Nathan looked up. Claire stood at the edge of his cubicle, arms crossed, expression unreadable. "Thank you," he managed. "Monday we start on the Cascade Tech proposal. I'll need initial concepts by Wednesday." She walked away before he could respond, before he could ask if she ever said things like "good job" or "take the weekend off" or "you're more than your productivity." Jules from the creative team leaned over the cubicle wall. She said, "Good work." That's basically a marriage proposal in Claire speak. It didn't feel like a compliment. Because it wasn't. It was a warning. She thinks you might actually be good at this, which means she's going to push you harder. Nathan stared at his computer screen at the file labeled Cascade Tech, at the cursor blinking expectantly. "Has anyone ever quit on her?" he asked. "4 directors in the last year. Robert lasted 3 months. Michelle made it to 5. David walked out during a pitch meeting." "What happened?" Jules shrugged. "She asked him to stay late for the 3rd weekend in a row. He said his kid had a birthday party. She said the client didn't care about birthday parties. He told her where she could put her client and walked out." "Did she replace him?" "With you." Nathan's phone buzzed again. "Harper, it's okay if you can't come. I know work is important. Love you." He stared at the message until the words blurred. Then he opened the Cascade Tech file and started working. Week 3 brought a subtle shift. Nathan started arriving before Claire did his desk light, the only one glowing in the pre-dawn darkness. He'd have his first deck outlined before she walked in, before she could comment on his tardiness or lack of preparation. She noticed. She didn't say anything, but she noticed. Her notes on his work changed tone. Still critical, still demanding, but with small additions. "This works. Why?" scribbled in the margin of a particularly strong headline. "Expand this concept," next to a visual idea she'd previously have dismissed as too risky. Nathan found himself watching for those notes, looking for the tiny validations buried in red ink. Week 5 arrived with autumn rain. The Cascade Tech proposal had gone through 7 iterations. 7. Nathan had stopped counting the hours he'd put in, stopped looking at his phone to see how many of Harper's goodnight calls he'd missed. Mrs. Chen had started charging extra for the late pickups. Harper had stopped asking when he'd be home. Thursday morning, Nathan brought 2 coffees to work. One for himself, one inexplicably for Claire. He left it on her desk before she arrived. No note, just a white cup with 2 sugars, no cream, written on the side in Sharpie. When Claire walked in at 8:15, she stared at the cup for a full minute. Picked it up, took a sip. Her eyebrows rose slightly. She'd never mentioned how she took her coffee, never said it out loud. But Nathan had noticed her ordering it at the Starbucks in the lobby, had filed away the detail without thinking about why. That afternoon, she left a note on his desk. Not about work. Just 3 words on a yellow sticky note: "Thank you, CW." Nathan stared at those words like they were a cipher he needed to crack. Week 7 brought the breaking point, though neither of them knew it yet. The Henderson digital account landed in their laps on a Monday. A tech startup going public, needing a complete brand overhaul in 3 weeks. 3 weeks! It was impossible. Everyone said so. Claire assigned Nathan as lead. "This is our signature project for Q4, she said in the conference room the whole team assembled. "If we land Henderson, we cement our reputation as the best digital marketing agency in the Pacific Northwest. And if we don't," someone asked. Claire's smile was cold. "We don't fail." Nathan spent the next 2 weeks living at the office. He set up a cot in the break room, showered in the gym down the street, saw Harper for exactly 47 minutes over 14 days. On day 12, she stopped answering his phone calls. On day 13, Mrs. Chen left a voicemail. "She's fine, Nathan, but she asked me if her mommy was ever coming back. I didn't know what to tell her." On day 14, Nathan stood in the office at 3 a.m., staring at slide 14 of the Henderson pitch, and realized he couldn't remember the last time he'd eaten a meal sitting down, or slept for more than 4 hours, or felt like a human being instead of a machine designed to produce marketing decks. His phone rang. Harper's school. He almost didn't answer. "Mr. Reed. This is Nurse Johnson at Lincoln Elementary. Harper has a fever of 101. We need you to come pick her up." Nathan's blood went cold. "I'll be right there." He grabbed his keys and headed for the elevator. Made it 3 steps before Claire's voice stopped him. "Where are you going?" He turned. She stood in her office doorway, backlit by the fluorescent glow, looking immaculate despite the late hour. "My daughter is sick. I need to get her. The Henderson presentation is tomorrow morning." "I know. We're not ready. I know." "Nathan." Claire's voice was sharp. "The client doesn't care about your personal problems." Something inside him snapped. Not loud, not dramatic, just a quiet fracture in the place where he'd been holding everything together with sheer willpower. "No," he said quietly. "You don't care. Excuse me, you don't care that I haven't seen my daughter in 2 weeks. You don't care that she's 9 years old and crying herself to sleep because her mom abandoned her and now her dad is never home. You don't care about anything except these." He gestured at the office, the computers, the glass walls. "These perfect, pristine campaigns that mean nothing to anyone except you." Claire's face went very still. "You have no idea what you're talking about." "Don't I?" Nathan stepped closer. Through the glass walls, he could see the few remaining employees stopping their work watching. He didn't care anymore. "You sit up here in your ivory tower demanding perfection while the rest of us are barely keeping our heads above water. You want to know why 4 directors quit before me. Because you're impossible. Because you expect everyone to sacrifice everything while you sacrifice nothing. You think I've sacrificed nothing." Claire's voice rose. "You think I became this?" She gestured at herself, at her office, at the empire she'd built, without losing everything that mattered. "Then why are you doing it? Why are you making everyone else go through the same thing?" "Because if I stop," her voice cracked slightly, "if I let anyone see." She didn't finish, couldn't finish. They stood there 6 feet apart, breathing hard. 2 people who'd been circling each other for weeks, building toward this moment without realizing it. The office had gone completely silent. Nathan took a breath, then another. "I have to go get my daughter." He turned toward the elevator. "Wait." He stopped but didn't turn around. "The presentation is at 9," Claire said quietly. "If you're not here, we lose the account." "Then you lose the account." The elevator doors opened. Nathan stepped inside. As they slid shut, he caught a glimpse of Claire's face through the narrowing gap. She looked stricken, lost. Like he'd just said something that broke through every wall she'd spent years building. The doors closed, the elevator descended, and Nathan had no idea that in less than 24 hours everything would change. That he'd find Claire at his daughter's school reading stories to children who needed someone to care. That the impossible boss would become something else entirely. That they'd collide again, but this time without anger, with something far more terrifying. Understanding. Nathan drove through Seattle rain like a man possessed. The windshield wipers beat a frantic rhythm against the downpour. His knuckles were white on the steering wheel. His phone buzzed incessantly with messages he didn't read. Probably Claire. Probably the team panicking about the Henderson presentation. Probably his entire career imploding in real time. He didn't care. Harper was sick. Harper needed him. Everything else could burn. Lincoln Elementary School sat in the Beacon Hill neighborhood, a brick building that had stood for 70 years and looked every day of it. Nathan parked crookedly in the loading zone and ran through the rain without bothering to lock his car. The nurse's office was on the first floor, past hallways decorated with construction paper turkeys and handprint art. His shoes squeaked against linoleum that smelled of disinfectant and childhood. He burst through the door, already apologizing. "I'm so sorry I came as fast as I could. Traffic was..." He stopped. Claire Ashford sat in a small plastic chair next to the nurse's cot reading aloud from a battered copy of Charlotte's Web. Her voice was soft, animated, nothing like the clipped professional tone she used at work. She was doing different voices for each character. Wilbur sounded young and scared. Charlotte sounded wise and kind. Harper lay curled under a thin blanket, her cheeks flushed with fever, but her eyes were bright and fixed on Claire with absolute attention. Nathan stood frozen in the doorway, his brain struggling to process the scene before him. And Charlotte began to spin her web. Claire read her finger tracing the words on the page. "Some pig," she wrote, in letters that shimmered in the morning dew. Harper giggled weakly, then noticed Nathan standing there. "Daddy!" Claire's head snapped up. Her eyes went wide. The book slipped slightly in her hands. For a moment, nobody moved. The three of them suspended in a tableau that made no sense. His boss, his daughter, a children's book about a spider and a pig. Nurse Johnson broke the spell. She stood up from her desk, a matronly woman with graying hair and the weary expression of someone who'd seen everything twice. "Mr. Reed, we've been trying to reach you. I came as soon as I got the message," Nathan said, his eyes still fixed on Claire. "What are you doing here?" Claire closed the book carefully, marking the page with a worn fabric bookmark. "I volunteer here. Wednesday afternoons. Since when? 3 years." Harper sat up slowly, the blanket falling to her waist. Her Disney princess pajama top was visible under her school shirt. Someone had let her change when she started feeling sick. Probably Claire. "You two know each other?" Harper asked, her voice small and confused. Claire and Nathan spoke at the same time. "He works with me," Claire said. "She's my boss," Nathan said. Harper's eyes widened. She looked between them like she was watching a tennis match. "You're Ms. Winters, the scary one. I prefer demanding," Claire said, and there was the hint of a smile on her face that Nathan had never seen before. Genuine, warm, completely unlike the Ice Queen who terrorized their office. "Is he always late?" Harper asked Claire conspiratorially. "He's always late." Claire's smile grew. "Always. That's because he has to do everything by himself," Harper explained with the patient tone of someone stating obvious facts. "Mom left us to find herself, but she's been looking for a really long time." The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Nathan felt his chest constrict. Harper said it so matter-of-factly, like she was describing the weather. No drama, no emotion, just the simple truth of their abandonment. But Claire's face changed. The smile vanished. Something flickered in her eyes, something raw and painful that she quickly tried to mask. Her hand tightened on the book in her lap. "Sometimes grown-ups make choices that hurt the people they love," Claire said carefully, her voice gentler than Nathan had ever heard it. "It's not because of anything you did, Harper. It's never because of anything you did." Harper studied Claire with the intensity only children possess. "That's what Daddy says, too." "Your dad is right." "Are you mad at him?" Harper asked suddenly. "Sophie from daycare says her mom worked for you and cried every day. I told Dad not to let you make him cry." Nathan wanted the floor to open up and swallow him whole. But Claire surprised him. She looked at Harper, then at Nathan, and something in her expression softened even further. "I think your dad and I just needed to understand each other better," Claire said. She stood up, smoothing down her blazer, the professional armor sliding back into place, but not completely. There were cracks now, visible fissures in the perfect facade. Nurse Johnson cleared her throat. "Harper's temperature is down to 99.8. I'd keep her home tomorrow, but she should be fine by Thursday." Nathan moved to Harper's side, pressing his palm against her forehead. Still warm, but not dangerously so. "How are you feeling, Bug?" "Tired," Harper admitted. "And my throat hurts." "Let's get you home." He helped Harper into her coat, gathered her backpack. Signed the checkout form Nurse Johnson handed him. Through it all, he was hyper-aware of Claire standing by the window, watching them with an unreadable expression. Harper waved as they headed for the door. "Bye, Miss Winters. Will you finish the chapter next week?" "Of course," Claire said. "Charlotte's just getting to the good part." Nathan paused at the threshold, turned back. Claire met his eyes, and the air between them felt charged with everything they hadn't said. Everything that had exploded between them an hour ago. Everything that was shifting now into something neither of them had names for. "Thank you," he said quietly, "for being here with her." Claire nodded once. "Take care of her, Nathan." It was the first time she'd used his first name. He carried Harper out to the car, buckled her into the back seat, and drove home through rain that had softened to drizzle. In the rearview mirror, he could see Harper's eyes already drooping shut, exhaustion pulling her under. But his mind was back in that nurse's office, replaying the scene over and over. Claire reading to his daughter. Claire's voice doing character impressions. Claire's face when Harper mentioned Vanessa leaving. That look of recognition, of pain, of understanding something she'd never spoken aloud. His phone buzzed in the cup holder. He waited until they were home, until Harper was settled on the couch with juice and crackers and a blanket before he checked it. 11 missed calls from the office, 23 text messages, 6 voicemails, and 1 text from an unknown number. Henderson called. They want to reschedule for tomorrow afternoon. Team handled the morning slot. You still have a job. Get some rest. CW. Nathan stared at that message for a long time. Then he looked at Harper, already asleep on the couch, her small hand curled under her chin. He'd chosen right. Whatever happened next with Claire, with work, with his barely held-together life, he'd chosen right. The next morning, Nathan found Claire at the coffee shop across from the office. She sat by the window working on her laptop, a half-empty cappuccino cooling beside her. She'd changed out of yesterday's business attire into jeans and a soft gray sweater. Her hair was down, falling past her shoulders in waves he'd never seen before. She looked younger, softer, human. Nathan hesitated at the door, suddenly uncertain. But she looked up, saw him, and something in her expression shifted. Not quite a smile, but not the Ice Queen either. He ordered his usual terrible coffee and a croissant he wouldn't eat, then walked over to her table. "Mind if I sit? It's a free country." He sat. Rain streaked the window beside them. Morning commuters rushed past umbrellas blooming like dark flowers. "How's Harper?" Claire asked, closing her laptop. "Better. Still feverish, but she slept through the night." "That's good." Silence stretched between them. Not uncomfortable exactly, but weighted with everything they hadn't said. "Why didn't you tell me you volunteered at her school?" Nathan finally asked. Claire wrapped both hands around her coffee cup. "Would it have changed anything? Yes, I would have seen you differently." "Exactly." She looked up at him, her eyes direct. "At work, I can't be the person who reads to kids. The second I show weakness, the second people see me as anything other than demanding and unapproachable, they stop respecting me." "That's not true, isn't it?" Claire's laugh was bitter. "You've been there 2 months. How many times have you heard people call me the Ice Queen, the Dragon Lady? How many warnings did you get about me before you even started?" Nathan couldn't deny it. Jules had pulled him aside on day one. Don't take it personally when she destroys your first 3 proposals. It's just how she is. I built Maverick from nothing, Claire continued. I was 25 years old with a business degree and an idea. No capital, no connections, no family to fall back on. Just me and a lot of people telling me I'd fail. You proved them wrong. I did. She took a sip of her coffee, grimaced at the cold bitterness. But the cost was becoming someone people feared instead of someone they wanted to work with. I told myself it was worth it, that success was worth anything. And now, Claire was quiet for a long moment. Outside, a bus splashed through a puddle, sending up a spray of dirty water. Someone's umbrella turned inside out in the wind. Harper has your drawing in her backpack, Claire said instead of answering. A rabbit wearing a crown. She showed it to me last month, said her dad was the best artist in the world, even though you only draw stick figures. Nathan felt his throat tighten. She told me she lost that drawing. She didn't. She shows it to all the volunteers. She's very proud of you. Even when I'm never home, especially then. She understands you're working hard for her. Claire's fingers traced the rim of her coffee cup. Do you know why I volunteer at Lincoln Elementary? No. I aged out of foster care when I was 18. No family, no support system. I spent my first night of legal adulthood in a bus station because I had nowhere else to go. Her voice was steady, clinical, like she was reciting facts about someone else. I'd moved through 7 homes between the ages of 9 and 18. Some were okay, some were terrible. None of them felt like home. Nathan wanted to reach across the table to touch her hand to offer some gesture of comfort, but something in her posture said she wasn't finished, that she needed to say this without interruption. In one of the better homes, there was a woman named Margaret. She wasn't my foster mother, just a volunteer who came to read to us once a week. She brought books and did all the voices and made us feel like we mattered, like we were worth her time. Claire's eyes were distant, looking at something Nathan couldn't see. She's the only adult from my childhood who I remember with anything close to fondness. So you became her. I tried. I can't fix the system. I can't give these kids families, but I can show up every Wednesday and read them stories and make them feel like they're worth someone's time. Nathan did reach across the table then. His hand covered hers warm against cold. She looked down at their joined hands like she'd forgotten what human touch felt like. Why didn't you tell anyone at work? He asked gently. Because being vulnerable is dangerous. The second people know you care about something, they can use it against you. They can question your judgment. They can see you as weak. Or they could see you as human. Claire pulled her hand back, but slowly, reluctantly. I've worked very hard not to be human at work. I noticed. I'm sorry. The words came out quiet, almost hesitant. For how I've treated you, for the impossible deadlines, and the constant criticism in the way I dismissed you yesterday when Harper was sick." Nathan sat back surprised. Claire Ashford didn't apologize. Everyone said so. It was like a law of nature. "I built this company by never accepting excuses from myself," Claire continued. "And I expected the same from everyone around me. But yesterday, seeing you with Harper, seeing how much she needs you—" She paused, struggling with something. "My mother left when I was 9. Just walked out one day and never came back. My father buried himself in work rather than deal with raising a daughter alone. I learned early that depending on people was dangerous, that needing anyone was weakness. Claire, I swore I'd never be vulnerable like that again. Never need anyone. Never let anyone close enough to hurt me." She looked at him directly, her eyes bright with unshed tears. "I'm very good at being alone." "That's not the same as being happy." "No," she agreed. "It's not." They sat in silence for a while. The coffee shop filled with morning customers. Someone's phone rang. A barista called out a complicated order. Life continued around them while they sat in this small bubble of honesty. "Harper told me yesterday that you make the best pancakes," Nathan said finally. Claire blinked, thrown by the non sequitur. "What? Apparently, you made them for the kids at reading time last month. Some special event. Dr. Seuss's birthday. We did green eggs and ham and made pancakes with food coloring." A small smile tugged at her lips. "Harper ate 4. Said they were the best thing she'd ever tasted, which I'm choosing to take as a compliment and not a commentary on your cooking." "My cooking is terrible. I gathered that from the amount of takeout containers I see in your office trash." They smiled at each other, a tentative thing, fragile as new ice. Nathan's phone buzzed. A reminder about the Henderson presentation at 2 p.m. "I should get to the office," he said, not moving. "Me too." Neither of them stood up. "Nathan," Claire said, "about yesterday. What I said about the client not caring. That was cruel and wrong. I'm sorry. You were right, though. The client doesn't care. But I should have, and I didn't. I've spent so long protecting myself that I forgot how to care about anything except results." "Is that really true?" Claire looked toward the window, at the rain still falling at the reflection of the coffee shop behind them. "No, I care about a lot of things. I'm just very good at pretending I don't." "Why?" "Because caring hurts. Because every time I've cared about something, it's been taken away. So I stopped caring, or at least I stopped showing it." Nathan finished his terrible coffee. It had gone completely cold. For what it's worth, I think the person who reads to kids on Wednesday afternoons is more real than the ice queen who terrorizes the office. "Maybe," Claire said, "or maybe they're both real. Maybe I'm just trying to figure out how to be both without breaking. If you figure it out, let me know." I'm still trying to figure out how to be a good dad and a good employee without failing at both." Claire looked at him for a long moment. Then she reached into her bag and pulled out something small. A business card. She wrote on the back of it with a pen, then slid it across the table. Her personal cell phone number. "In case Harper gets sick again," Claire said, "or in case you need to talk to someone who understands." Nathan picked up the card, feeling the weight of what she was offering. Trust. Connection. A door left open instead of slammed shut. "Thank you," he said. "Don't thank me yet, I'm still going to be demanding at work. I wouldn't expect anything less, but maybe I can try to be demanding in a way that doesn't make people cry. That would be an improvement." They stood up together. Claire gathered her laptop and bag. Nathan held the door for her and they walked out into Seattle drizzle together. "See you at the presentation?" she asked. "Wouldn't miss it." Claire nodded, started to walk away, then turned back. "Nathan, yeah, thank you. For yesterday, for reminding me that there are things more important than accounts and deadlines." She smiled, small and uncertain. "I think I'd forgotten that." She walked away before he could respond, her figure disappearing into the crowd of morning commuters. Nathan stood in the rain, holding a business card with her personal number, and felt like something fundamental had shifted, like the ground beneath his feet had reorganized itself into a new configuration. He didn't know what to do with that feeling yet, but for the first time in months he felt something other than exhaustion. He felt hope. The Henderson presentation went flawlessly. Nathan delivered the pitch with the kind of confidence that came from having survived the worst possible morning. The executives nodded, asked smart questions, nodded some more. "We'll have a decision by Friday," the CEO said, shaking hands all around. Back at Maverick, the team celebrated with expensive champagne that Claire had ordered. She stood at the edge of the celebration, watching everyone laugh and decompress, and Nathan noticed she wasn't participating. Just observing. Always observing, never quite part of things. He walked over with 2 glasses of champagne, offered her one. "You did good work today," Claire said, accepting the glass. "We did good work. It was a team effort." "Take the compliment, Nathan. I'm trying. It's weird coming from you." Claire's lips twitched. "I suppose I have been stingy with praise. Stingy is generous. I'll work on it." They stood side by side watching the team celebrate. Jules was doing a terrible impression of the Henderson CEO. Robert was laughing so hard he spilled champagne on his shirt. Maya actually looked relaxed for the first time in months. "They're good people," Claire said quietly. "They are. I should tell them that more often." "Probably." She looked at him sidelong. "You're not making this easy. Neither are you." Claire's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and her expression changed, softened. "Harper just texted me. She wants to know if I'm coming to Reading Circle next Wednesday." "You gave her your number?" "She asked for it. Said she wanted to send me pictures of books she's reading." Claire showed him her phone. Harper's message included 3 book emojis and a heart. I said yes. Is that okay? Nathan felt something warm expand in his chest. More than okay. Good. Claire pocketed her phone. Because I already promised to bring snacks, apparently my pancake skills are legendary. They really are. She hasn't stopped talking about them. Well, they are made with love and an alarming amount of food coloring. Nathan laughed a real laugh, and Claire smiled at the sound. Not the professional smile she used for clients. A real smile reaching her eyes, transforming her face into something beautiful and unguarded. Miss Winters, Maya appeared at Claire's elbow, nervous as always. The caterer needs to know about next week's client dinner. Tell them the usual menu, but add a vegetarian option. Nathan's joining us. Nathan blinked. I am, you are. Partners attend client dinners. Didn't I mention you're being promoted? You absolutely did not mention that. Claire's smile grew. Consider yourself mentioned. Maya scurried away, looking stunned. The team was watching now, sensing something had changed, but not quite sure what. Jules raised his glass. To Nathan May, he survived longer than the last 4 directors. Everyone laughed and cheered. Nathan raised his glass, feeling the weight of their hopes. 4 people had failed before him. 4 people had crumbled under Claire's impossible standards. But something was different now. Some fundamental shift in how Claire looked at him, how she spoke to him, like she saw him as a person instead of just an employee, like she was trying, really trying to be better. Speech, someone called out. Nathan shook his head. I'm not good at speeches. Then say something terrible, Jules encouraged. We'll drink anyway. Fine. Nathan raised his glass higher. To teams that support each other. To bosses who are learning to be human. And to daughters who remind us what actually matters. He looked at Claire as he said that last part. She held his gaze, her eyes bright, and raised her own glass in silent acknowledgement. They drank, and the team cheered, and Nathan felt like maybe, just maybe, he'd found a place where he could be both things at once. Good employee and good father, successful and present, whole instead of fractured. It was a fragile feeling, new and untested, but it was there. 2 weeks later, on a random Tuesday evening, Nathan's carefully balanced world shifted again. He was still at the office at 7 p.m., working on the Cascade Tech proposal that Claire had actually given him a reasonable deadline for. Harper was at Mrs. Chen's doing homework and probably watching too much TV. Everything was under control. Then his phone rang. Harper's school. His heart jumped into his throat. Mr. Reed. This is Principal Matthews. Harper's fine, but there's been an incident. We need you to come in tomorrow morning. What kind of incident? A pause. Harper got into a fight with another student. Over something they said about family situations. Nathan closed his eyes. I'll be there first thing tomorrow." He hung up and sat very still, trying to process. Harper didn't fight. She was gentle and quiet and avoided conflict. What could someone have said to make her? His phone buzzed. A text from Claire. Problem. He'd forgotten she was still in her office working late as always. The glass walls. She'd probably seen his face change when he took the call. Before he could decide whether to respond, she appeared at his desk. "Talk," she said simply. So he did. He told her about the call about Harper fighting about not knowing what to do because he'd never dealt with this before. Claire listened without interrupting. When he finished, she said, "Do you need to leave now?" "No. Mrs. Chen has her. The meeting's not until tomorrow." "Good. Then come with me." "Where?" "Dinner. You need to eat something that isn't vending machine food, and I need to stop pretending I know how to cook." Nathan stared at her. "Are you asking me to dinner?" "I'm telling you to come to dinner. There's a Thai place 2 blocks over that doesn't close until 9. We'll talk through how to handle the school meeting. I've dealt with similar situations with the kids at Reading Circle." It made sense. It was practical. It was definitely not a date. So, why did Nathan's heart beat faster when she grabbed her coat and waited for him by the elevator? They walked through Seattle evening, past food trucks, and street musicians and people heading home from work. The Thai restaurant was small and crowded, and smelled like lemongrass and comfort. They ordered too much food and spread it across the table between them. Pad Thai and green curry, and spring rolls that were too hot to eat right away. "Harper's probably upset because she got in trouble," Claire said, expertly wielding chopsticks. "Kids that age hate disappointing adults. She's never been in a fight before. Then, whoever said something must have really gotten to her. What's your relationship like with her mother?" Nathan pushed rice around his plate. "Complicated. Vanessa left 18 months ago. Said she needed to find herself. She's in Europe somewhere, sends postcards, occasionally calls on Harper's birthday. Harper acts like she doesn't care, but she sleeps with those postcards under her pillow." Claire set down her chopsticks. "That's hard." "Yeah." "Does Harper talk about wanting her mom back?" "Sometimes, less now than before. I think she's starting to accept that Vanessa isn't coming home. But she still hopes. Always." They ate in comfortable silence for a while. The restaurant buzzed with conversation around them. Someone laughed too loud. A baby cried. Life happened in all its messy glory. "Can I ask you something?" Nathan said. "You just did." "Funny. Why did you really volunteer at Lincoln? The truth, not the rehearsed answer." Claire took a sip of her Thai iced tea, considering. "Because I'm trying to give kids what I never had. Consistency. Someone who shows up every week without fail. Someone who sees them and thinks they matter." She met his eyes. "I can't fix their lives, but I can make Wednesday afternoons a little better. And sometimes that's enough. That's more than enough. That's everything." "Is it?" "Harper talks about you constantly. About the stories you read, the voices you do, the way you remember which books everyone likes. You matter to those kids, Claire. Probably more than you know. She looked away, uncomfortable with the praise. I'm just reading books. You're showing up. That's not nothing. Claire's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and her face transformed. A smile, genuine and warm. Harper, Nathan guessed. She wants to know if I can come over this weekend to help with her science project. Claire showed him the text. She's making a model solar system and wants my help with Neptune because, and I quote, you seem like a Neptune person. What does a Neptune person seem like? I have no idea, but I'm strangely flattered. Nathan found himself smiling. You can come over Saturday if you want. I'll make lunch, by which I mean I'll order pizza. Sold. They finished dinner talking about everything and nothing. Work, Seattle, books. Harper's obsession with learning French for no apparent reason. Claire's secret love of terrible reality TV. Nathan's failed attempt to learn guitar last year. When they left the restaurant, the rain had started again. Seattle rain, the kind that wasn't quite rain and wasn't quite mist, just a general dampness in the air. They walked back toward the office to get their cars. At the parking garage entrance, they stopped. Thank you, Nathan said. For dinner, for the advice, for being human. I was going to say surprisingly easy to talk to, but human works too. Claire smiled. You're welcome. Text me after the school meeting tomorrow. Let me know how it goes. I will. She turned to leave, then paused. Nathan, yeah. Harper's lucky to have you. In case no one's told you that recently. She walked away before he could respond, disappearing into the parking garage shadows. Nathan stood in the rain for a long moment, feeling that warm expansion in his chest again. That dangerous, fragile feeling that maybe something good was building here. Something more than boss and employee, something like friendship, or maybe eventually something more. He drove home through wet streets, collected Harper from Mrs. Chen's, listened to her explain the fight without quite admitting she'd thrown the first punch. Michaela said I didn't have a real family, Harper said quietly. She said families need moms and dads and I only have you. Nathan pulled her close. And what did you say? I said I have the best family. I have you and Mrs. Chen and Ms. Winters who reads me stories every week. I said family is who shows up, not who you're related to. That's very wise, Bug. I still punched her, though. We'll work on alternative conflict resolution. What's that mean? It means next time use your words before your fists. Harper nodded against his chest. Is Ms. Winters really coming over Saturday? She is. Good. I like her. She's nice when she's not at work. She's nice at work, too. She's just scared. Of what? Nathan thought about Claire's broken childhood, her fortress walls, her fear of needing anyone, of being hurt again. That's sad. It is. We should be extra nice to her then, so she knows she's safe. Nathan pressed a kiss to the top of Harper's head, marveling at her capacity for empathy. 9 years old and wiser than most adults. Yeah, Bug, we should. Saturday came with rare Seattle sunshine. Claire arrived at noon with art supplies for the solar system project and homemade cookies that she claimed she didn't make but definitely did. They spent 4 hours in Nathan's small living room creating planets out of styrofoam balls and paint. Claire got purple paint in her hair. Harper laughed so hard she snorted lemonade. Nathan took pictures he'd probably look at for years. When Claire left that evening, Harper hugged her goodbye. A real hug, fierce and trusting. "Thank you for helping," Harper said. "Our solar system is the best in the class." "It really is," Claire agreed. "Neptune especially. Because you're a Neptune person. I'm honored." Nathan walked Claire to her car. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. "She adores you," Nathan said. "The feeling is mutual." "Claire." He hesitated, unsure how to say what he was feeling. "This today it was really nice. Thank you for coming." "Thank you for inviting me." They stood in the fading light, both of them aware that something had shifted again. Some invisible line crossed, some new territory entered. "Same time next week?" Claire asked. Harper mentioned something about a book report. "You don't have to. I want to." Those 3 words hung in the air between them. Simple, heavy with meaning. "Okay," Nathan said. "Same time next week." Claire smiled, got in her car and drove away. Nathan went back inside to find Harper at the window watching. "She's coming back," Harper said. Not a question, a statement of fact. "Yeah, Bug, she is." "Good. I think she needs us as much as we need her." Nathan looked at his impossibly wise daughter and realized she was right. Claire Ashford, the Ice Queen. CEO who terrorized grown men and built empires, needed them. And somehow miraculously she was letting them in. 3 weeks after the solar system project, Nathan asked Claire on a date. Not officially. Not with those exact words. Just a casual Harper's with Mrs. Chen on Saturday. Want to grab lunch. That they both knew meant something more. Claire said yes, without hesitation, which surprised them both. Saturday morning arrived with unexpected sunshine. Seattle in October was usually gray and drizzling, but today the sky stretched blue and endless above the city. Nathan stood in front of his closet for 20 minutes trying to decide what to wear. Too formal looked like he was trying too hard. Too casual suggested he didn't care. He settled on jeans and a button-down shirt, then changed his mind 3 times. Harper watched from his doorway, amused. "You're nervous." "I'm not nervous. Your left eye does this twitchy thing when you're nervous. It's doing it now." Nathan checked his reflection. His eye was in fact twitching. "It's just lunch. With Claire. Yes. Who you like?" I didn't say that. Harper rolled her eyes with the infinite patience of a child dealing with a hopeless adult. Dad, you smile at your phone when she texts. You wear the blue shirt she said looked nice. You clean the apartment extra hard before she comes over. I always clean the apartment. Not like you're expecting the Queen of England. Harper walked over and straightened his collar the way she'd done 100 times. When had she gotten so good at reading him, just be yourself? She already likes you. How do you know? Because she looks at you the same way you look at her. Like you're both surprised it's happening, but happy it is. Nathan hugged his too-wise daughter. When did you get so smart? I've always been smart. You just noticed. He left Harper with Mrs. Chen, who gave him a knowing look and made him promise to have fun and stop overthinking everything. Easy for her to say. She wasn't about to have lunch with a woman who'd gone from terrifying boss to complicated friend to something he didn't have words for yet. Pike Place Market was crowded with Saturday tourists. Nathan met Claire by the brass pig statue, the one everyone rubbed for good luck. She stood with her hands in her jacket pockets, looking uncertain in a way he'd never seen. No power suit today, just jeans, a soft green sweater, and her hair down in waves that the breeze kept pushing across her face. She was beautiful. The thought hit him with unexpected force. He'd known she was attractive in an abstract, professional way, but standing here in sunlight without armor, she was genuinely beautiful. "Hi," he said, suddenly feeling 17 instead of 34. "Hi." She smiled, and it was the real smile, the one that crinkled the corners of her eyes. "I wasn't sure you'd actually come." "Why wouldn't I?" "Because this is weird. We work together. I'm technically your boss. This violates about 17 different HR policies." "So we won't tell HR." "Nathan, I'm serious. If this goes badly, if we try this and it doesn't work, we still have to see each other every day." He stepped closer, close enough to smell her perfume. Something light and floral. And if it does work... Claire looked up at him, her expression vulnerable in the morning light. "I don't know. I've never been good at the parts that come after." "Neither have I. So we'll figure it out together." That simple, that terrifying. She laughed and the tension broke. They walked into the market together, joining the flow of people, browsing handmade crafts and fresh flowers and salmon being thrown dramatically between vendors. "Tell me something you've never told anyone," Nathan said, as they stopped to watch a street musician playing violin. Claire considered the question seriously, like she approached everything. "I'm terrified of thunderstorms. When I was 7, my foster family forgot I was in the attic during a bad storm. I was alone for 6 hours, listening to thunder and thinking the world was ending." Nathan felt something twist in his chest. 7 years old. Alone. Forgotten. "I'm sorry that happened to you. It was a long time ago." "Doesn't make it hurt less." "No." Claire agreed quietly. "It doesn't." They walked past a flower vendor and Nathan bought her a single sunflower without thinking about it. She accepted it with surprise, holding it carefully like it was precious. "Your turn," she said. "Tell me something." "I'm terrified of being like Vanessa. She left because she said I needed her too much, that I was suffocating her with my emotional demands." He'd never said this out loud before. "So now, I don't let anyone close. I pretend I don't need help, don't need support, don't need anything. Because if I need someone, they'll leave." Claire stopped walking. Right there in the middle of the crowded market, she turned to face him fully. "That's not needing too much. That's just being human. Tell that to my ex-wife. Your ex-wife was wrong, and probably scared. People who run are usually scared of something. Like you're scared of thunderstorms. Like I'm scared of everything." Claire's honesty was disarming. Scared of failing, scared of succeeding, scared of being alone, scared of letting people close. "I'm just better at hiding it than most." Nathan took her hand. Right there with tourists streaming past and violin music floating through salty air. Her fingers were cool in his, but they tightened around his immediately. "What are we doing?" she asked softly. "Something stupid and necessary. That's what I'm afraid of." He leaned down and kissed her, not desperate like in the conference room, not angry, just soft and tentative and full of possibility. Around them, someone whistled. A tourist applauded. The violin player changed to a love song. They broke apart, both slightly dazed. "Okay," Claire said. "Okay, we're doing this. Apparently. I'm going to be terrible at it. So am I. We should establish ground rules." "Absolutely. Harper comes first. Always. Obviously. We keep it professional at work." "Agreed. And if this implodes, we handle it like adults." Nathan pulled her closer. "It's not going to implode. You don't know that. Neither do you." She studied his face, searching for something. Whatever she found made her smile. "You're annoyingly optimistic. You're annoyingly cautious. This is going to be a disaster." "Probably." He kissed her again. "Want to try anyway?" "Yes." Claire breathed against his lips. "God help me." "Yes." They spent the rest of the afternoon wandering through the market, eating fish and chips at a window counter overlooking the Sound, laughing at terrible tourist souvenirs. Being normal people on a normal date, except nothing about them was normal, and both of them knew it. When they finally headed toward their cars as the sun was setting, Nathan felt lighter than he had in years, like some weight he'd been carrying had finally lifted. "Same time next week?" he asked. "I'm coming over Wednesday for Harper's book report. Remember, that's work-related." "Is it?" "It was. Now I'm not sure." Claire laughed. "Wednesday, I'll help Harper. Saturday, you and I can do something without construction paper and glitter." "It's a date. It's definitely a date." She drove away, and Nathan stood in the parking lot watching her taillights disappear the sunflower she'd given back to him, to give to Harper clutched in his hand. His phone buzzed. "Harper." "How did it go?" He typed back, Good. Really good. Did you kiss her? That's none of your business. You did, I knew it. Nathan smiled at his phone, at his daughter's enthusiasm, at the way his life was slowly knitting itself back together into something that felt almost whole. The next 3 months unfolded like a story neither of them had planned, but both were learning to read. Week 1 started tentatively. Claire came over Wednesday evening to help Harper with her book report. They spread papers across Nathan's dining table, Harper reading aloud while Claire took notes and asked thoughtful questions. Nathan made dinner, which meant ordering Thai food, and they ate on the couch with Harper between them, watching some animated movie about talking animals. It felt domestic, natural, like they'd been doing this for years instead of weeks. Saturday, Nathan and Claire went to a movie. They sat in the back row and didn't pay attention to most of the film because they were too busy talking in whispers, learning each other's histories. Claire told him about aging out of foster care with $300 and a bus ticket, about sleeping in the Greyhound station that first night because she had nowhere else to go, about building Maverick from a single client, and a laptop she'd bought at a pawn shop. Nathan told her about Vanessa's slow withdrawal, how she'd stopped coming to Harper's school events first, then stopped cooking dinner, then stopped sleeping in their bed, how he'd watched his marriage dissolve in slow motion knowing it was happening but unable to stop it. "Did you love her?" Claire asked. "When she left, I loved who she used to be. The person she was had already left months before her body did. That's worse somehow. The slow leaving. Yeah." They held hands in the dark theater, and it felt like healing. Week 3 brought complications. A coworker saw them having coffee before work, and rumors started circulating. Jules cornered Nathan in the break room. "Are you dating the boss? That's complicated." "That's a yes." "Dude, do you have any idea how many rules that breaks?" 7. I counted. Jules shook his head but was grinning. "You know what, good for you. She's been different since you started. Less scary, more human. She was always human, not to the rest of us." Jules clapped him on the shoulder. "Just don't break her heart. Okay, we're finally starting to like working here." Week 5 brought their first real argument. Claire wanted to take a client dinner that fell on Harper's birthday. Nathan said no, he'd promised Harper. Claire said this was a major client. Nathan said his daughter's birthday was non-negotiable. They didn't speak for 2 days. Harper noticed. "You and Claire are fighting." "We're not fighting, we're disagreeing." "Same thing." "It's not. Fighting means someone's right and someone's wrong. Disagreeing means we both have valid points." Harper looked skeptical. "Did you tell her you're sorry?" "I'm not sorry. I chose you over work. That's the right choice. But maybe she's sorry. Maybe she just doesn't know how to say it." Nathan stared at his 9-year-old daughter. "When did you become a relationship counselor? Someone has to be. You're both emotionally stunted." "Where did you learn that phrase?" "Mrs. Chen. She watches a lot of Dr. Phil." Claire texted him that night. I was wrong. Harper's birthday is important. I'm sorry I made you choose. Nathan replied, I'm sorry I didn't explain better why it mattered. Can I make it up to both of you? I have an idea. The idea turned out to be renting the entire reading room at Lincoln Elementary for Harper's birthday party. Claire organized everything. Books as decorations, story-themed games, a cake shaped like Charlotte's Web. She invited all of Harper's classmates and spent 4 hours reading to kids and doing character voices while wearing a ridiculous party hat. Harper glowed with happiness all day. At the end of the party, she hugged Claire and whispered, This is the best birthday ever, thank you. Claire's eyes got shiny. She hugged Harper back and said, You're welcome, sweetheart. Nathan watched them together and felt his heart expand painfully. This was dangerous territory. Harper was getting attached. He was getting attached. They were building something fragile and precious, and if it broke, it would devastate all 3 of them. But God, it felt good while it lasted. Week 7 brought another shift. Nathan's apartment had a burst pipe flooding his bathroom and half his bedroom. He couldn't afford a hotel while repairs happened. Claire offered her guest room without hesitation. It's practical, she said. You need somewhere to stay. I have space. Claire, that's a big step. It's a guest room, not a marriage proposal. You and Harper can stay until your place is fixed. They moved in with 2 suitcases and the vague sense of crossing some invisible line. The first night was awkward. Harper loved Claire's condo racing from room to room, exclaiming over the view and the big bathtub and the shelf of books in the guest room. But at bedtime she got quiet. This is weird, Harper said as Nathan tucked her in. Good weird or bad weird? I don't know yet. She looked up at him with serious eyes. What if we like it here too much? What if we get used to it and then we have to leave? Nathan had no good answer for that. Then we'll be sad for a while, but we'll be okay. Promise, promise. But he wasn't sure he believed it. The week at Claire's place revealed new layers to all of them. Claire, in her natural habitat, was softer than at work. She made pancakes on Saturday morning, the promised food coloring turning them various shades of blue and purple. She taught Harper how to make French toast. She and Nathan cooked dinner together, moving around her kitchen with increasing ease. At night, after Harper was asleep, they sat on Claire's balcony overlooking the city, talking, sometimes kissing, sometimes just sitting in comfortable silence. I could get used to this, Nathan admitted one night. Don't. Claire's voice was sharp. Don't get used to it. This is temporary. Your apartment will be fixed and you'll go home and this will have been a nice interlude. Why does it have to be temporary? Because I'm not good at permanent. Because everyone leaves eventually. Because I don't know how to be someone's. She trailed off, unable to finish. Someone's what? Someone's person. Her voice was small. I've never been anyone's person before. I don't know how to do it without breaking everything. Nathan moved closer, taking her hand. What if we break things together? That's not reassuring. It's honest. Claire looked at him with eyes that held years of hurt. What if I mess this up? What if I'm too damaged or too broken or too scared? Then we figure it out. Together. That's what people who care about each other do. Is that what we are, people who care about each other? Yes. Nathan's voice was firm. I care about you. Harper cares about you. And unless I'm completely misreading this, you care about us. Claire was quiet for a long moment. The city sparkled below them. Somewhere, a siren wailed. Life continued its messy march forward. I do, she finally whispered. I care about both of you. So much it terrifies me. Good. Good. Being terrified means it matters, means it's real. I hate that makes sense. Nathan pulled her close, and she let him. They sat together under Seattle stars, two broken people learning to be whole. 4 months after their first date, everything fell apart. It was a Tuesday evening. Ordinary, unremarkable. Nathan was at Claire's place making dinner while she helped Harper with the science project. The domesticity of it all had become comfortable, natural. They'd fallen into routines without discussing it. He kept a toothbrush at her place. She had spare clothes at his repaired apartment. Harper had started calling it staying at Claire's instead of staying at Ms. Winter's place. They were becoming a family. The thought both thrilled and terrified Nathan in equal measure. Claire stood at the dining table in one of his old hoodies, hair in a messy bun, helping Harper glue together a model of the water cycle. She had flour on her nose from helping with cookies earlier. She looked relaxed, happy, at home. Nathan stirred pasta sauce and let himself imagine this was permanent, that this could be their life, the three of them, together. The doorbell rang. "I'll get it," Nathan called, wiping his hands on a dish towel. He expected a package delivery, maybe a neighbor. Not the ghost of his past standing in the hallway looking thin and nervous and achingly familiar. Vanessa. His ex-wife stood in the doorway, rain-soaked and hollow-eyed. She'd lost weight. Her hair was longer, pulled back in a messy ponytail. She wore clothes that looked expensive, but worn like she'd been traveling for a long time. Her hands twisted together nervously. "Hi, Nate," she said, and her voice was exactly as he remembered. Soft, hesitant. The voice that used to read Harper bedtime stories. Nathan's brain short-circuited. He stood frozen, unable to process the reality of his ex-wife standing in Claire's hallway. This was wrong. This was impossible. Vanessa was in Europe. Vanessa was finding herself. Vanessa was gone. "What are you doing here?" His voice came out flat. Dead. "I know I don't have the right." Vanessa's words came fast rehearsed. "I know I left and I hurt you both, and I have no excuse. But I've been in therapy, 6 months of intensive treatment. I'm clean, I'm stable, and I want to see my daughter." Behind him, Nathan heard footsteps. Claire appearing to see what was taking so long. He felt her presence at his shoulder, solid and grounding. Vanessa's eyes flicked past Nathan to Claire. Something flickered in her expression. Surprise, recognition, understanding. "I see you didn't waste any time replacing me," Vanessa said bitter, despite her obvious attempts at control. The words hit like a slap. Nathan felt Claire flinch beside him. "Vanessa," he started, but didn't know how to finish. What could he say? That he'd spent 18 months barely surviving. That Claire wasn't a replacement, but something entirely different. That Vanessa had forfeited the right to comment on his life the moment she walked out, Mom. The small voice from behind them froze everyone. Harper stood in the dining room doorway, water cycle project forgotten. Her face was a canvas of emotions too complex for a 9-year-old to process. Hope battling with hurt. Confusion wrestling with anger. Joy fighting terror. "Mom," she said again, like she couldn't quite believe it. Vanessa's carefully constructed composure crumbled. Tears spilled down her cheeks. "Oh, Harper, look at you. You're so big." Harper didn't move, didn't run forward for a hug, just stood there small and uncertain while her mother cried in a stranger's doorway. "Why are you here?" Harper asked. The question was simple but loaded with 18 months of abandonment. "I came back for you, baby. I came home." "This isn't home." Harper's voice was steady, despite the tears starting to track down her own face. "Home is with Dad. Home is wherever he is." Nathan felt his heart crack. He wanted to go to his daughter, to hold her, to tell her it would be okay, but he was rooted to the spot, unable to move, unable to think past the screaming in his head that everything was about to change. Claire moved first. She walked past Nathan, past Vanessa's stunned expression, and knelt beside Harper. She didn't try to hug her, didn't offer platitudes, just knelt there present and solid. "Do you want to talk to your mom?" Claire asked gently. Harper looked at Claire with eyes too old for her face. "I don't know." "That's okay. You don't have to know right now." "I'm scared." "I know, sweetheart. Being scared is okay too." Harper's small hand found Claire's. They stood together, this child and this woman who'd both learned what abandonment felt like. Vanessa watched the interaction with something like pain on her face. "I didn't mean to leave for so long. I thought I'd be gone a few months. But everything spiraled and I couldn't face coming back until I'd fixed myself." "You left on Harper's birthday," Nathan said, his voice cold. "You missed 18 months of her life. You called maybe 6 times. You sent postcards like she was a pen pal instead of your daughter." I know I failed, but I'm here now. I want to try again." "You don't get to just show up and demand access to her." "I'm not demanding. I'm asking. Please, Nate, let me see my daughter." Harper had been silent through this exchange. Now she spoke, her voice small but firm. I have school tomorrow and homework, and Claire was helping me with my project. The rejection was subtle but devastating. Homework ranked higher than a mother's return. A woman she'd known for months mattered more than the woman who'd given birth to her. Vanessa's face crumpled. Can we talk tomorrow anywhere you want? Harper looked at Nathan. He nodded slowly. If you want a bug, only if you want to. Okay, Harper said finally, but not tomorrow, Saturday, at the park. Okay, Saturday. Vanessa was crying openly now. Thank you, baby. Thank you. She left before anyone could say anything else. Just turned and walked away, leaving Nathan standing in the doorway of a life that had become unrecognizable in the span of 5 minutes. The door closed. Silence descended like fog. Harper broke it by bursting into tears, not the quiet kind. The kind that shook her whole small body with the force of emotions too big to contain. Nathan finally moved. He scooped her up, carried her to the couch, held her while she sobbed against his chest, all the fear and confusion and hurt pouring out in waves. It's okay, he murmured uselessly. It's okay, Bug, let it out. I thought I wanted her to come back. Harper gasped between sobs. I thought I'd be happy, but I'm just scared. What if she leaves again? What if I let her back in and she goes away? Then we'll deal with it, together. But what about Claire? Harper looked up with red-rimmed eyes. If Mom comes back, does Claire have to leave? The question hung in the air, sharp and impossible. Nathan looked at Claire. She stood by the window, arms wrapped around herself, staring out at the city lights. The distance between them felt like miles instead of feet. Nobody's leaving, Nathan said, trying to believe it. Claire isn't going anywhere, right, Claire? She didn't answer for a long moment. When she turned, her face was carefully blank. The Ice Queen mask sliding back into place. Your mom loves you, Claire said to Harper, her voice gentle despite the walls going back up. She made mistakes, but she came back. That matters. I don't want you to go, Harper said. I'm not going anywhere tonight. Let's finish your project, okay? They moved mechanically through the rest of the evening, finished the water cycle model, cleaned up dinner that had burned on the stove, got Harper ready for bed. But everything felt wrong, like they were playing parts in a show where someone had changed the script without warning. After Harper finally fell asleep, Nathan found Claire on the balcony. She stood with her hands gripping the railing knuckles, white with tension. Talk to me, he said. About what? About the fact that you've barely said 10 words since Vanessa left. What do you want me to say? Claire's voice was controlled. Too controlled. Your ex-wife came back. She wants to see Harper. That's between you two. It affects you too. Does it? You know it does. Claire turned to face him. The city lights behind her made her face hard to read. She's Harper's mother, blood, biology, real family. You're part of this family, too. Am I? She laughed bitter and sharp. I'm the person who's been filling in, the temporary solution. But now the real thing is back, and where does that leave me? Claire, don't do this. Do what face reality. Vanessa is Harper's mother. Nothing I do can change that. Nobody's asking you to change it. We're asking you to stay. And what if Harper chooses her? What if she wants her real mom back and I'm just in the way? You're not in the way. Harper loves you. Harper loves the idea of a mother figure. But Vanessa is her actual mother. That's different. That's real. Nathan grabbed her shoulders, forcing her to look at him. You are real. This is real. What we have, what we're building, that's real. Is it? Claire's eyes were bright with unshed tears. Or am I just a convenient replacement until the real thing came back? Don't you dare reduce what we have to that. Then tell me you're not worried Harper will choose Vanessa over me. Tell me you're not terrified that I'm going to lose my place in her life. In your life. Nathan couldn't. Because he was terrified. Because the fear was eating him alive. Claire saw it in his face. Her expression crumbled. That's what I thought. She whispered. Claire, please. I need to be alone. Can you take Harper home tomorrow? This is temporary. Van won't stay. She never does. You don't know that. Neither do you. Claire pulled away from him, wrapping her arms around herself. Everyone leaves Nathan. That's the one thing I know for certain. Your wife left. My parents left. Every foster family left. Everyone always leaves. I'm not leaving. Harper's not leaving. But you might. If Vanessa stays, if Harper wants her mom, you might have to choose. And I know what choice you'll make. She looked at him with eyes that held too much pain. You'll choose your daughter, as you should. But that means choosing Vanessa too in some way. And I can't. I can't watch that happen and pretend it doesn't destroy me. So you're leaving first. That's your solution. I'm protecting myself. There's a difference. No, there isn't. You're running because you're scared. Because being vulnerable is terrifying and it's easier to leave than to be left. Claire flinched like he'd struck her. Maybe I am running, but at least I'm honest about it. Are you? Because it looks like you're hiding behind walls again, pretending you don't care when you do. When you've cared this whole time. Of course I care. The words exploded out of her. I care so much it's killing me. I care about Harper. And you and this life we've been building. I care about Tuesday dinners and science projects and bedtime stories. I care about feeling like I finally found something that matters, and that's exactly why I can't do this. Because when it ends, and it will end, it's going to break me in ways I don't know how to fix. They stared at each other across 3 feet of distance that felt insurmountable. I love you, Nathan said. The words fell between them like stones in water. I'm in love with you, And I think you love me too, even if you're too scared to say it." Claire's face was wet with tears she hadn't realized were falling. "Don't. Don't what?" "Tell you the truth. That I want this to work. That I want you in our lives permanently. That I'm terrified of losing you, but more terrified of not trying. Nathan, I love you," he said again. "And I know you're scared. I'm scared too. But I'm choosing to stay anyway. I'm choosing to believe this is worth fighting for." What if Harper chooses Vanessa? Then we figure it out, together. And if I can't handle that, if I'm not strong enough, then I'll be strong enough for both of us. Until you can be strong again. Claire looked at him with such raw vulnerability that Nathan's chest ached. She was breaking apart in front of him, all the walls crumbling, and he didn't know how to catch all the pieces. "I don't know how to do this," she whispered. "I don't know how to be someone's person when I've never been chosen before. What if I mess it up? What if Harper needs her real mom and I'm just forgotten?" "You won't be forgotten. You couldn't be forgotten. You're too important." "How do you know?" "Because Harper sleeps with your bookmark in her pillowcase. Because she draws pictures of the three of us and hangs them on her wall. Because she told Mrs. Chen that she has two moms now, one who left and one who stays. You're the one who stays, Claire. That matters. But what if I can't? What if my instinct to run is stronger than my desire to stay? Then I'll chase you. And I'll keep chasing you until you believe you're worth staying for." They stood in the darkness, city lights twinkling below the future, uncertain and terrifying. "I'm so scared," Claire breathed. "I know. Me too. What do? We take it one day at a time. We let Harper meet with Vanessa. We see what happens. We figure it out together. And if it falls apart, then at least we tried. At least we didn't run because we were scared." Claire closed the distance between them, buried her face in his chest, held on like he was the only solid thing in a world that had started spinning too fast. "Don't let me run," she said against his shirt. "If I try to run, don't let me." "I won't, I promise." They held each other under stars they couldn't see through Seattle clouds, two people trying desperately to believe that love could be enough. The next few days were terrible. Harper met with Vanessa on Saturday at the park with Nathan present. The conversation was stilted, awkward, full of long silences where nobody knew what to say. Vanessa talked about therapy, about rehab, about wanting to be better. Harper listened with a face that revealed nothing. When they got home, Harper didn't want to talk about it. Just went to her room and closed the door. Claire hadn't been there. She'd made excuses about work, about needing space, about giving them time as a family. Nathan recognized it for what it was. Fear. Walls. The instinct to run disguised as consideration. He texted her every day anyway, small things. "Harper asked about you. Made pancakes, but they weren't as good as yours. Missing you." She responded sporadically. Brief messages that revealed nothing. Vanessa's lawyer called. She was requesting partial custody. Supervised visits at first, with the possibility of unsupervised weekends eventually. Nathan's lawyer said it was reasonable. That Vanessa had been in treatment, had documentation, was making genuine effort. That judges looked favorably on parents trying to rebuild relationships. Harper started therapy. Her therapist was kind patient, asked careful questions about how she felt about everything. Nathan sat outside the office during sessions, visible through the glass door, but unable to hear. He watched his daughter talk cry gesture with her hands the way she did when trying to explain something complex. After the third session, the therapist called him in. "Harper's processing a lot," Dr. Martinez said. She was middle-aged with kind eyes. She's angry at her mother for leaving, but she also misses her. She's afraid of being abandoned again, but also afraid of rejecting her mother. It's a very complex emotional space for a child her age. "What should I do?" Nathan asked helplessly. "Let her feel everything. Don't try to fix it. Just be present. And Claire Harper's gotten attached to Claire." Dr. Martinez's expression was carefully neutral. "Harper mentioned her. She's clearly an important figure. What's your relationship? Complicated. We're together. But Vanessa coming back has made everything messy. Life is messy. The question is whether you're committed to working through the mess or letting it pull you apart." Nathan thought about Claire on her balcony walls, going back up, fear winning. "I'm committed. I'm just not sure she is." Then you need to have that conversation, for Harper's sake if nothing else. Children pick up on adult anxiety. If you and Claire are uncertain, Harper will feel that instability. Nathan drove home thinking about stability, about commitment, about whether love was enough when fear was so much louder. 2 weeks after Vanessa's return, a storm rolled into Seattle. Not unusual. Seattle had storms regularly, but this one was massive. Thunder that rattled windows. Lightning that turned night into day. Rain so heavy it sounded like drumming on the roof. Nathan was home with Harper. They'd ordered pizza because cooking felt impossible. Harper was doing homework at the kitchen table, occasionally flinching when thunder boomed. "You okay, Bug?" Nathan asked. "I don't like storms." "I know. Wanna watch a movie? Can we call Claire?" Nathan's heart clenched. They'd barely spoken in days. She was pulling away, building walls, preparing to run. He could feel it happening and didn't know how to stop it. "She's probably busy, Bug." "Dad." Harper looked at him seriously. "She's scared of storms. She told me once. She needs someone, too." "Harper, please just check on her." Nathan pulled out his phone. 47 missed calls from Claire. All in the last hour. His blood went cold. He hit redial immediately. It went straight to voicemail. He tried again. "Get your shoes," Nathan said, already grabbing his keys. "Where are we going?" "Claire's place. Now." They drove through the storm with Nathan's heart in his throat. Something was wrong. Claire didn't call 47 times unless something was very, very wrong. Thunder cracked overhead. Harper flinched in the back seat. "Is she okay?" Harper asked in a small voice. "I don't know, Bug. I hope so." They made it to Claire's building in record time. Nathan left the car running in the emergency lane, grabbed Harper, and ran through rain that soaked them in seconds. The doorman let them up without question, probably because Nathan looked half crazed. He pounded on Claire's door. No answer. Pounded again. The door opened. Claire stood there, and Nathan had never seen her look so broken. Hair disheveled, eyes red from crying. She wore his old MIT hoodie like armor, but it wasn't enough. Nothing was enough. "Nathan," she breathed. "What are you?" "You called 47 times. She looked confused. "I did. Your phone's been off. We were worried." Thunder boomed. Claire flinched violently, and Nathan understood. She'd been alone through the whole storm. Alone with her childhood trauma and adult fears, and the certainty that everyone always left. "Can we come in?" he asked gently. Claire stepped back. They came inside, dripping water on her expensive floors. Harper didn't wait for permission. She walked straight to Claire and hugged her waist. "It's okay," Harper said simply. "We're here now. You're not alone." Claire looked down at this child, this brave, beautiful, impossibly wise child, and something inside her shattered completely. She sank to her knees, pulling Harper close, and sobbed. "I'm sorry," she gasped. "I'm so sorry. I've been so scared and stupid, and I didn't know what to do." "It's okay," Harper repeated, patting Claire's hair the way Claire had patted hers countless times. "Being scared is okay. Dad says being scared just means you care. I do care. I care so much." "Then why did you leave?" Harper's question was gentle but direct. "You stopped coming over. You stopped helping with my homework. Did I do something wrong?" "No." Claire pulled back to look at Harper's face. "No, sweetheart, you didn't do anything wrong. I was scared that your mom coming back meant you wouldn't need me anymore. But I do need you. You're my Claire. And your mom is your mom. So I can have both." Harper said it like it was obvious. Like the adult complications were just that, adult complications that didn't matter to a child's heart. "You read me stories, and help with science, and make the best pancakes. Mom left, but maybe she'll stay now. But even if she does, I still need you." Claire looked at Nathan over Harper's head. He saw everything in her expression. The fear, the hope, the desperate need to believe it could work. Thunder cracked again. All three of them jumped. "Can we stay?" Harper asked. "Until the storm is over." "Yes," Claire whispered. "Yes, please, stay." They moved to the couch together, Harper between them like she belonged there. Like this was family, and storms were just weather to be waited out together. "I'm sorry I pulled away," Claire said quietly. I thought protecting myself was more important than staying. But I was wrong. You, she looked at Nathan. You were right. Running just means losing what matters before someone can take it away. And what matters? Nathan asked. This, both of you, us. Claire took a shaky breath. I love you, both of you. I'm terrified and I have no idea how to do this, but I love you. Nathan felt something in his chest unknot. Say it again. I love you. Again. I love you. And Claire laughed through tears. I love you, I love you, I love you. Good, because I love you too. And we're gonna figure this out. All of it. Vanessa custody, whatever comes. We'll figure it out together. Together. Claire repeated, testing the word. I've never had a together before. Neither have I. Not really. But I want to try with you. Harper looked between them. Does this mean Claire's staying? If she'll have us, Nathan said. If you'll have me, Claire corrected. Broken and scared, and not always sure what I'm doing. Perfect, Harper said seriously. Because we're broken and scared too. We can be broken and scared together. Outside, thunder rolled and lightning flashed. Rain hammered against windows. But inside, 3 people who'd learned what it meant to be alone were learning something new. What it meant to stay. What it meant to choose each other again and again, even when it was terrifying. What it meant to build a family from broken pieces. The storm raged on, but they were together, and for now, that was enough. The morning after the storm, Nathan woke up on Claire's couch with Harper sprawled across his chest and morning light streaming through windows that had been dark and terrifying hours before. Claire stood in the kitchen making coffee. Real coffee, not the terrible office kind. She wore pajama pants and a tank top, her hair still messy from sleep, and she looked more at peace than he'd ever seen her. She caught him watching and smiled. Not the professional smile, not the careful one. Just a smile. Morning, she said, softly, careful not to wake Harper. Morning. I made pancakes, thought Harper might want them when she wakes up. Nathan carefully extricated himself from beneath his daughter and joined Claire in the kitchen. Up close, he could see she'd been crying again. Her eyes were still red-rimmed, but something about her posture had changed. Less defensive, more open. Are you okay? He asked. I don't know yet. Ask me in a few months when I haven't completely destroyed this. She poured him coffee, added cream without asking, because she knew how he took it. I meant what I said last night about loving you, about staying. I know. But I'm going to mess up. I'm going to panic and try to run and build walls. It's what I do when I'm scared. Then I'll remind you why you're staying. Claire leaned against the counter coffee mug cradled in both hands. Vanessa called while you were sleeping. She wants to set up a regular schedule, every other Saturday to start supervised by you or a neutral party. Nathan felt his stomach tighten. What did you say? I said she should talk to you about it, that I'm not Harper's parent and it's not my place to decide. She looked at him directly. But between us, I think Harper should see her. Not because I want to, but because Harper needs to process this. She needs to know if her mom is really staying or just passing through again. That's very mature of you. I'm trying very hard to be the bigger person, when what I really want to do is tell Vanessa to disappear back to Europe. Claire's honesty was refreshing. But Harper needs to make peace with her mother, whatever that looks like. And I need to be okay with not being the only important woman in her life. You'll always be important to her. We'll see. Claire took a sip of coffee. Your daughter is remarkably wise, you know. Last night, she told me I could be scared as long as I didn't let scared win. 9 years old and dispensing better therapy than my actual therapist. Nathan laughed softly. She gets that from Mrs. Chen, too much Dr. Phil. Well, Mrs. Chen is on to something. Harper stirred on the couch, making small waking up noises. She sat up slowly, looking around with sleepy confusion before remembering where she was. When she saw Nathan and Claire together in the kitchen, her face lit up. "You're both here," she said, like she'd been afraid one of them might have disappeared in the night. "We're both here," Claire confirmed. "And I made pancakes. With food coloring. Is there any other kind?" Harper scrambled off the couch and ran to the kitchen. They ate breakfast together at Claire's dining table, and it felt like a promise. Like something beginning instead of ending. The next 6 months unfolded in a series of adjustments, compromises, and small victories. Vanessa started coming around every other Saturday. The visits were awkward at first. Everyone trying too hard and saying too little. But gradually, Harper and her mother found a rhythm. Not the relationship they'd had before. Something new. More careful. Built on the understanding that trust had to be earned back slowly. Nathan supervised the first several visits, sitting on park benches or in coffee shops while Harper and Vanessa talked. He watched his daughter navigate complicated emotions with grace he didn't know 9-year-olds possessed. After the 4th visit, Harper came home and said, "I don't hate her anymore, but I don't know if I can trust her yet." "That's fair," Nathan said. "Is it okay that I want to see her but also want her to leave? Completely okay. And is it okay that I like Claire better?" Nathan pulled Harper onto his lap. "You don't have to choose, Bug. Your heart is big enough for both of them. They're different people who love you in different ways. Claire loves me by staying. Mom loves me by trying to come back." Harper was quiet for a moment. "I think I understand that now." By month 2, Claire had started coming to some of the Saturday handoffs. It was Vanessa's idea, surprisingly. "Harper talks about you constantly. I'd like to meet the woman who's been there for my daughter when I wasn't." That first meeting was tense. Vanessa and Claire sat at a coffee shop, while Harper played at the park with Nathan, and they talked. Really talked. 2 women who both loved the same child trying to figure out how to make that work. "I don't want to take him back," Vanessa said bluntly. Nathan and I are done. That's not why I came back. Okay, Claire said carefully, but I do want my daughter. I want to be part of her life. I know I have no right to ask for that after leaving, but I'm asking anyway. Harper deserves to have her mother if her mother is going to stay. That's the question, isn't it? Vanessa stirred her coffee absently. Whether I'll stay, I don't blame you for wondering. I'm not wondering, I'm terrified. Claire's honesty surprised them both. Harper and I have built something. She trusts me, and if you leave again, it won't just hurt her. It'll hurt me too. Vanessa looked at her with something like respect. I can't promise I'll be perfect. I can't promise I'll never mess up. But I'm in therapy 4 times a week. I'm on medication. I'm doing everything I can to be stable for her. That's all any of us can do. They left that coffee shop not as friends, but with understanding. They both wanted what was best for Harper. Sometimes that would mean working together. Sometimes it would mean staying out of each other's way. But they could be civil, for Harper's sake. By month 3, the custody arrangement was official. Every other weekend supervised at first with the goal of unsupervised visits by month 6, if everything went well. Harper handled it better than Nathan expected. She'd come home from Vanessa's weekends tired and emotionally drained, but not damaged. Just processing. Mom's apartment is weird, she reported after the first overnight visit. It smells like incense, and she has this cat named Buddha who's really fat. Do you like staying there? Nathan asked carefully. It's okay. Different. She makes me meditate before bed, which is boring, but kind of nice. Harper paused. I miss you, though. And Claire. Is it okay that I miss you when I'm with Mom? Completely okay. Good, because I do. Claire had stayed at Nathan's apartment that weekend waiting for Harper to come home. She'd paced for 2 hours, checking her phone, obsessively worrying about things she couldn't control. When Harper walked in and immediately hugged her, Claire's relief was visible. How was it? Claire asked. Weird, but okay. Can you make pancakes for dinner? Pancakes aren't dinner food. They are if you love me. Claire laughed. Pancakes it is. By month 4, something had shifted in all of them. The anxiety had lessened. The fear of Vanessa disappearing again was still there, but quieter. They were learning to trust the process, learning that families could be complicated and messy and still work. Nathan and Claire's relationship deepened in the in-between spaces. Late-night conversations after Harper was asleep, stolen kisses in the office supply closet that made them feel like teenagers. Weekend mornings where they made breakfast together and read the paper and existed in comfortable domesticity. At work, things had changed too. Claire was still demanding, but with more humanity. She'd implemented family-friendly policies, flexible hours for parents, on-site childcare for emergencies, mental health days that didn't require explanation. The office culture shifted. People smiled more, stressed less. Productivity actually increased when people felt valued as humans instead of just employees. Jules cornered Nathan one afternoon. "Whatever you're doing to the boss, keep doing it. This place is actually pleasant now. I'm not doing anything to her. You're existing in her orbit, and it's making her tolerable. That's something." Nathan was promoted to partner in month 5. Claire announced it in a company meeting, her hand briefly touching his shoulder in a gesture that was professional, but hinted at something more. Everyone knew they were together by then. The secret had been impossible to keep once Claire started leaving work at reasonable hours, and Nathan stopped looking perpetually exhausted. "Are we violating HR policies?" Nathan asked her one evening. "Probably, but we're the ones who write the policies, so I'm changing them." "Can you do that? I own the company. I can do whatever I want." "That's a concerning amount of power. And yet, you're still here. Can't imagine being anywhere else." Claire kissed him long and slow and full of promise. They were getting good at this, at being together, at choosing each other every day. By month 6, Harper had adjusted to her new normal. Mom every other weekend. Claire and Dad the rest of the time. It wasn't perfect. There were still hard moments, confusion, sadness. But there was also joy, stability, love. One night, Harper drew a picture at the kitchen table while Nathan and Claire cooked dinner together. When she finished, she showed it to them proudly. 4 stick figures. One tall with glasses labeled Dad. One with long dark hair labeled Claire. One smaller in the middle labeled Me, and one separate but connected by a rainbow labeled Mom. At the bottom, in Harper's careful handwriting, "My family, it's complicated but good." Claire's eyes filled with tears. "Can I keep this? Only if you put it somewhere important. I'll put it in my office, right where I can see it every day. Promise, promise." That night, after Harper was asleep, Claire pulled something from her bag. Her watch. The one that had stopped at 3:17 15 years ago. "I got it fixed," she said quietly. "Took it to the jeweler 3 weeks ago." Nathan took it from her, turning it over in his hands. The second hand ticked steadily. 3:17 had passed. Time was moving forward again. "Why now?" he asked. "Because I'm ready. I spent 15 years with time stopped at the moment I was abandoned. But I'm not that scared 18-year-old anymore. I have people who stay, you stay, Harper stays, even Vanessa is trying to stay." She took the watch back, fastened it around her wrist. "It's time to start living in the present instead of the past. I'm proud of you. Don't be, I'm terrified. This watch working means I'm admitting I believe this is real, that you won't leave, that I won't mess this up so badly you have to leave. We'll mess it up together. That's not as reassuring as you think it is." Nathan pulled her close. "Yes, it is. Because messing up together means we're in it together. No one's running. No one's giving up." Claire looked up at him, her eyes bright in the dim light. "Ask me." "Ask you what?" "You know what." Nathan's heart started beating faster. Claire, ask me, before I lose my nerve. Before I convince myself this is crazy, ask me. He should have had a ring, should have planned something romantic, should have done this properly. But Claire was looking at him with such vulnerable hope that planning didn't matter. Marry me, he said, not a question. A statement. A declaration. Yes. No hesitation. No doubt. Yes, I'll marry you. I don't have a ring. I don't need a ring. I need you. I'm a mess. I have a complicated ex-wife situation and a daughter with trust issues, and I'm probably going to be a terrible husband. Good. I'm a mess too. I have commitment issues and control problems, and I don't know how to be someone's wife. We'll be terrible at it together. Nathan laughed and kissed her, and it felt like everything clicking into place. Like time had stopped 15 years ago, so Claire could be exactly here, exactly now, choosing this life with him. Harper gets to be Flower Girl, Claire said against his lips. Non-negotiable. Obviously. And we're getting married at the Reading Center, where we really met. A warehouse in Pioneer Square. We'll make it beautiful. With you there, it will be. That's cheesy. You love it. I really do. They stayed up late that night planning a future that felt impossible and inevitable all at once. Small wedding. Close friends. Family. Harper at the center of it all because she was the reason they'd met. The reason they'd stayed. The reason they'd learned to trust again. 3 months after Nathan's impromptu proposal, Harper had a school play, The Wizard of Oz. She'd been cast as Dorothy, which she was simultaneously thrilled and terrified about. She'd been practicing her lines for weeks, driving Nathan and Claire slowly insane, with repeated renditions of Follow the Yellow Brick Road. The night of the play, the elementary school auditorium was packed. Nathan sat in the 3rd row with Claire beside him. 2 rows back, Vanessa sat alone. She'd asked if she could come. Harper had said yes. It was progress. Uncomfortable progress, but progress nonetheless. The play was delightful chaos. A 2nd grader forgot his lines as the Tin Man and just stood there crying until the teacher prompted him. The Wicked Witch's hat fell off during her big number. The flying monkeys were clearly just kids in brown pajamas with paper wings. Harper was perfect. She delivered her lines clearly, hit her marks, looked genuinely distressed when Toto ran away. Nathan's heart swelled with pride watching his daughter be brave in front of hundreds of people. Intermission came. The house lights rose. Parents stretched and checked phones and headed for refreshments. Nathan turned to Claire. Need anything? Just a minute. She grabbed his hand. Come with me. They slipped into the hallway, relatively empty now that most people were in the lobby. Claire pulled him toward a quiet corner near the classrooms. Everything okay? Nathan asked. Define okay. She was fidgeting, which she never did. I'm about to do something potentially insane. I'm listening. We should move up the wedding. Okay. When were you thinking? Next month. Nathan blinked. Next month, Claire, we haven't even sent invitations. I know. I know it's rushed, but I've been thinking about it and waiting feels wrong. Like we're hedging our bets. Like we're not sure. She took a breath. I am sure. I want to marry you. I want to be Harper's stepmom officially. I want to stop living in this limbo where I'm important but not quite family. You are family. Legally, I'm not, and that matters. If something happened to you, I'd have no rights to Harper. Vanessa could take her, and I'd have no say. I need it to be official. I need it to be real. Nathan hadn't thought about that. Hadn't considered the vulnerability of their situation. Claire was right. Without legal ties, she was just his girlfriend, not Harper's guardian, not protected by anything except goodwill. Next month, he said slowly. That's fast. Too fast. No, just right, actually. He pulled something from his jacket pocket, a small box. I was going to wait until after the play, but since we're doing this now... Claire stared at the box. You got a ring. Harper helped pick it out. We went last weekend. She knows you're proposing. She insisted. Said you deserve a proper proposal with a proper ring, and if I didn't do it right, she'd be disappointed in me. She's 9. She's terrifying when she's disappointed. Claire laughed, slightly hysterical. You're really going to propose to me in an elementary school hallway during intermission of The Wizard of Oz. I really am. Nathan got down on one knee. The floor was sticky with spilled juice boxes. Somewhere a child was crying. The PA system crackled with a reminder about the bake sale. It was perfect. Claire Ashford, you're the most stubborn, complicated, wonderful person I've ever met. You make Harper feel safe. You make me feel whole. You show up every Wednesday to read to kids even when you're exhausted. You fixed your watch because you believed our future was worth measuring time for. He opened the box. Inside was a simple silver band with a small diamond. Nothing flashy, elegant and understated like her. Will you marry me for real this time with a ring and a proposal, and all the traditional nonsense you pretend not to care about but secretly love? Claire was crying, mascara running, completely wrecked. You know me too well. Is that a yes? It's a yes. Obviously, it's a yes. He slipped the ring on her finger. It fit perfectly because Harper had secretly tried on all of Claire's jewelry to get the size right. They kissed in that sticky hallway while kids ran past and parents called for their children, and somewhere a janitor pushed a mop and pretended not to see them. Next month, Claire said against his lips. Next month, Nathan agreed. From the auditorium, they heard Harper's voice calling. Act 2 is starting, Dad. Where are you? They broke apart, grinning like teenagers. Claire looked at her ring, turning it in the light. It's beautiful. Harper said you'd hate anything too flashy. Harper is wise beyond her years. It's concerning, honestly. They headed back to the auditorium. Harper was on stage looking into the wings frantically. When she saw them return to their seats, her face relaxed. She caught sight of Claire's hand, the ring glinting even from a distance. Her smile was blinding. The second act was a blur. Nathan couldn't focus on flying monkeys or melting witches or clicking heels together. He was too aware of Claire beside him. Their hands linked, her ring cool against his palm. This was real. This was happening. He was getting married to a woman who'd started as his impossible boss and become his impossible everything. When the play ended, Harper took her bow with the rest of the cast. The audience applauded. Parents stood for a standing ovation that was probably more enthusiastic than a middle school Wizard of Oz deserved. But these were their kids up there being brave and imperfect and wonderful. Backstage, Harper found them immediately. Did she say yes? The entire hallway turned to look. Parents, teachers, kids still in costume. Everyone. Nathan held up Claire's hand, showing off the ring. Harper screamed, actually screamed, then launched herself at both of them, hugging them with fierce intensity. I knew it. I told Mrs. Chen you were going to do it tonight. She owes me $5. You bet on my proposal, Nathan asked. She said you'd chicken out. I said you wouldn't. I was right. Harper pulled back, looking between them with shining eyes. So we're going to be a real family. We already are a real family, Claire said. This just makes it official. Can I call you Mom? The question hung in the air. Claire went very still. Nathan held his breath. Only if you want to, Claire said carefully. I'll never try to replace your mom. Vanessa is your mom. I'm just another person who loves you. Can I have two moms? One who's trying and one who stays? Absolutely. Hearts are big enough for multiple people. Then can I call you Mom Claire? So I know which mom I'm talking about. Claire's eyes filled with tears again. I'd be honored. Harper hugged her again. Other parents were watching now, smiling at the scene. Someone pulled out their phone. Vanessa appeared at the edge of the crowd. She'd been waiting by the exit, giving them space. When she saw them together, family unit complete, something flickered across her face. Sadness, maybe, or acceptance. She walked over slowly. Congratulations. Thank you, Claire said, and meant it. Harper's lucky to have you. Vanessa's voice was sincere. I mean that. I messed up badly. You've been there when I wasn't. That matters. She's lucky to have both of us. Yeah. Vanessa smiled, small but genuine. She is. Harper looked between her mothers, old and new, and seemed satisfied with what she saw. Can we get ice cream to celebrate? It's 9 p.m. on a school night. Nathan started. But I got engaged, Claire interrupted. That's worth ice cream, right? Mom, Claire gets it, Harper said approvingly. Don't encourage her, Nathan said to Claire. Too late. I'm the fun mom now. You're going to regret that when she uses it against you. Probably, but it's worth it. They got ice cream. the four of them awkward and imperfect family. Harper, between Nathan and Claire Vanessa at the end of the table, making small talk about the play. It wasn't comfortable, probably never would be, but it was functional. They were making it work for Harper's sake. When they dropped Vanessa off at her apartment later, she hugged Harper goodbye. "See you Saturday. See you Saturday, Mom." She drove away, and Harper settled into the back seat with contented exhaustion. That was weird, but good. "That's a good way to describe a lot of things lately," Nathan said. "Are you happy, Dad?" "Very happy, Bug." "Good. You deserve to be happy." Such a simple statement. Such weight behind it. At home, Nathan tucked Harper into bed. She was asleep before he finished the first page of their current book. He stood in her doorway for a long moment, watching her breathe, marveling at her resilience. Claire found him there, slipped her hand into his. They stood together in comfortable silence. "Thank you," Claire whispered. "For what? For not giving up on me, for chasing me when I tried to run, for believing I could do this even when I didn't believe it myself. Thank you for staying, for choosing us every day, for being brave enough to try. I'm still scared. Me too, but less scared than before." Progress. They went to bed tangled together, and Nathan fell asleep thinking about wedding planning and family and the future that had seemed impossible 6 months ago, but was now gloriously messily real. The wedding happened 4 weeks later. They transformed the reading center at Lincoln Elementary into something magical. Fairy lights strung across exposed beams. Books as centerpieces. Chairs borrowed from the school cafeteria. It was small and unconventional and absolutely perfect. Harper was Flower Girl in a purple dress she'd picked out herself. She took her job very seriously, scattering petals with focused concentration. The ceremony was brief. Nathan's hands shook when he slipped the ring onto Claire's finger. Her vows made everyone cry, even Jules, who'd sworn he wouldn't. "I spent 15 years with time stopped," Claire said, her voice steady despite tears. 15 years not believing in permanence or commitment or love. You and Harper taught me that staying is braver than leaving. That family is who shows up day after day even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. She looked at Harper, who sat in the front row. "Thank you for teaching me that love isn't something that happens to you. It's something you choose, every day, forever." Nathan's vows were simpler. "I promise to make terrible coffee and let you fix it. I promise to support your impractical shoe collection and only judge a little. I promise to remind you why you're staying when you get scared. And I promise to love you and Harper with everything I have for as long as I live." The Reading Center volunteers had prepared food. Other parents from Harper's school had donated decorations. It was community coming together to celebrate something that mattered. Vanessa came. She sat in the back, stayed for an hour, congratulated them quietly before leaving. It was enough. The reception lasted until midnight. Kids ran around between tables while adults talked and laughed. Harper taught the other children how to do the cha-cha slide, which devolved into chaotic jumping. When Nathan and Claire had their first dance, Harper photobombed it, inserting herself between them. They danced as three, and it was perfect. Later, after most people had left and volunteers were cleaning up, Nathan found Claire on the steps outside. She sat with her shoes off her dress gathered around her knees, looking at the city lights. "You okay?" he asked, sitting beside her. "Very okay. Overwhelmed, but okay." She leaned her head on his shoulder. "We're married. We really are. That's terrifying. Terrifying and wonderful. Mostly wonderful." She held up her hand, looking at the wedding band beside her engagement ring. "I keep checking to make sure they're still there. Like I'm afraid I'll wake up and this will have been a dream. It's real. We're real. I know. I just keep waiting for something to go wrong. Something probably will go wrong, but we'll handle it together." Claire was quiet for a moment. Then, "I'm pregnant." Nathan's brain stopped working. "You're what? Pregnant?" "About 6 weeks. I found out 2 days ago." She looked at him nervously. "I was going to wait to tell you, but then we got married and it felt wrong to keep it secret. We're having a baby." "Yes, unless you don't want to. I know this is fast and we just got married and Harper is already a lot, and maybe this is too much too soon." Nathan kissed her, hard and thorough and full of joy. "We're having a baby. You're happy. I'm terrified and thrilled. Does Harper know?" "Not yet. I wanted to tell you first. We should tell her together. Tomorrow. Let's tell her tomorrow." Claire's hand went to her still flat stomach. "Do you think she'll be okay with it? She'll be thrilled. She's been asking for a sibling since she was 5. What if I'm terrible at this? I didn't have good mother examples. What if I mess everything up? Then we'll mess it up together and figure it out as we go. That's what parents do." "Is it?" "Absolutely. Parenting is mostly improvisation and hoping for the best." Claire laughed, relieved. They sat on those steps until the last volunteer left and they had to lock up. Then they drove home husband and wife with a secret growing between them and a future that felt both terrifying and full of promise. They told Harper the next morning over the promised pancakes. She processed for exactly 3 seconds before screaming, "I'm going to be a big sister." Then she hugged Claire's stomach and started talking to the baby that was barely bigger than a grain of rice. "Hi, baby. I'm Harper. I'm your big sister. I'm going to teach you everything. Like how to read, and how to make Dad laugh when he's sad, and how to get Mom Claire to make pancakes for dinner." Claire cried. Happy tears this time. Nathan took pictures. It was a good morning. The months that followed were full of adjustments. Morning sickness that had Claire running from client meetings. Harper reading pregnancy books from the library and dispensing advice she'd gotten from Google. Nathan trying not to hover, but failing spectacularly. They moved into a bigger place. A house with a yard and 3 bedrooms. Harper got to decorate the nursery with Claire choosing a theme of books and stars that was chaotic but charming. Vanessa sent a congratulations card. She and Harper had settled into a comfortable routine. Every other weekend, some holidays. It wasn't perfect, but it worked. When Claire was 7 months pregnant, Maverick Digital had their annual holiday party. It was the first time she'd announced the pregnancy to the whole company. Everyone cheered. Maya cried. Jules brought a onesie that said "Future CEO," which Claire immediately loved. Claire stood at the front of the room, obviously pregnant Nathan beside her, with his hand on her lower back. Harper helped serve cookies, confident and social. "When I started this company," Claire began, "I thought success meant being untouchable, needing no one, depending on nothing." She touched her watch, the one that now kept perfect time. "Someone once told me I needed to learn to tell time again. To stop living in the moment everything stopped and start living in all the moments after." She looked at Nathan, at Harper, at the family they'd built from broken pieces. "I'm grateful every day that I found people patient enough to wait while I figured out how to do that, how to ask for help, how to be vulnerable, how to believe I deserve to be chosen." She smiled, genuine and warm. "Thank you all for being part of this journey with me, for working at a company that's learning slowly but surely that success includes humanity." The room applauded. Nathan kissed her temple. Harper hugged her legs. After the speeches, after the food, after most people had gone home, Nathan and Claire stood by the window of her office. Their office now. He was partner. She was CEO. They were building something together. "Look," Harper said, appearing with construction paper. Another family drawing. This time with 5 stick figures. Mom Claire was noticeably round in the middle. "It's perfect," Claire said. "Can we hang it up? Right here." Claire pointed to the glass wall behind her desk, where everyone can see it. Harper beamed and ran off to find tape. Nathan pulled Claire close as her belly would allow. How are you feeling? Tired, happy, terrified about labor, excited to meet her. Oh, her." I peeked at the ultrasound results. "We're having a girl. Harper's going to lose her mind." "I know. That's why we're telling her on Christmas." They stood together, watching the city twinkle below. Behind them, the office was decorated with family photos, Harper's artwork, evidence of lives being lived. The glass walls that once kept people out now displayed everything Claire held dear. Her watch ticked steadily on her wrist. Time moving forward. "I never thought I'd have this," Claire said quietly. "A family, people who stay, a life that feels like home. And now I can't imagine anything else." Harper came back with tape and a step stool. She carefully hung her drawing on the glass wall right at Claire's eye level. "There," Harper said, satisfied. "Now, everyone knows we're a family." "We are a family," Claire agreed. "Complicated and imperfect and exactly right. They stood together, the three of them, soon to be four, and watched Seattle lights shimmer through glass that no longer felt like a barrier, but like a window into something beautiful. The coffee cups on the table were still warm. The clock on the wall read 8:47, and time was perfect. Everything was exactly as it should be. 3 months later. Dorothy Claire Reed was born on a Tuesday morning in March. 8 pounds, 3 ounces. Healthy and loud and absolutely perfect. Harper held her sister with careful reverence. "Hi, Dot. I'm your big sister. I've been waiting for you." Vanessa sent flowers, a nice gesture. She and Harper had found their rhythm, not what it was before, but something real. Claire recovered slowly, exhausted and overwhelmed, and more in love than she'd known was possible. Nathan stayed home for 2 weeks handling night feedings and diaper changes and Harper's needs while Claire healed. Mrs. Chen brought food. The Reading Center volunteers sent a gift basket. Maverick Digital sent so many flowers that the hospital room looked like a garden. One night, when Dot was 3 weeks old, Claire sat in the nursery for the 3 a.m. feeding. She was exhausted. Her body ached. She had spit up in her hair and hadn't showered in 2 days. She'd never been happier. Nathan appeared in the doorway, hair sticking up from sleep. "Need anything? I'm okay." He came in anyway, sat beside her on the floor while she nursed their daughter. Harper was asleep in her own room. Vanessa's postcard from Paris, visible on her nightstand alongside pictures of her entire extended family. "Thank you," Claire said quietly. "For what? For not letting me run. For believing this was possible when I didn't. For building this life with me. Thank you for staying. For choosing us. For being brave enough to let yourself be loved." Dot made small sleeping noises. Claire looked down at her daughter, then over at Nathan, then toward Harper's room. Her watch read 3:17, the exact time it had stopped 15 years ago. But now the second hand kept moving. Time didn't stop anymore. It flowed forward, carrying them toward a future full of possibility. "I'm scared I'm going to mess this up," Claire whispered. "You will. We both will. That's okay." "Is it yes? Because messing up means trying, and trying means caring, and caring means—" Nathan trailed off, looking at their small family. "Caring means everything." Claire leaned her head on his shoulder. They sat together in the quiet nursery, 2 people who'd learned that love wasn't about being perfect. It was about showing up, day after day, broken and scared and trying anyway. Outside Seattle, rain fell soft and steady. Inside, a family slept and woke and lived, and time kept moving forward, measuring moments that mattered. Perfect and imperfect and absolutely, completely real. The end.